Hello, the purpose of this video is to demonstrate the simplicity and versatility of the Easytork rotary pneumatic vane actuator. I'm holding here an Easytork size 5. They make one size smaller than this and they make 5 sizes larger than this. So with 7 sizes of actuators, Easytork can accommodate half through 24-inch butterfly valves and half through 12-inch ball valves. This actuator can be fail open, fail closed, single acting, or it can be double acting, air to open or air to close. To orient you a little bit to the actuator, these of course are the air ports. This is the accessory drive, and as you can see, it's a standard accessory drive. Fits any limit switch or limit switch bracket. On this side we see where the valve drive would be. Looks something like this, and so this in essence is the Easytork actuator. Easytork is a St. Louis based company that has been in business for about 8 years. I'd like to show you the simplistic part of Easytork actuators. Here I have an Easytork actuator disassembled. This is the half with the vane, which gives this actuator its name. This vane is what provides force to turn a valve. As you can see, we have a 90-degree travel in this chamber and air ports here. This air port would send air through this passage and turn the vane this way. If I had the top half on, there would be a hole here which would end air in this passage and turn the actuator that way. You will notice a large cavity here. If I had the top half on, there would be a corresponding cavity on the top half. This cavity is what gives us the capability to act like a spring return actuator. We don't have a spring because we don't need one. This cavity becomes stored energy in the form of an air reservoir. And to make this actuator spring return, we simply add an air pilot to the back of the actuator, and that air pilot airs up this cavity. Once it does that, there is a check valve in the pilot that locks the air into this cavity. So what we have is a double acting actuator doing only the work of a double acting actuator, yet upon loss of air, we can move that valve either open or closed depending upon which way we orient our pilot valve. Now this is advantageous for several reasons. One is, if you have a spring in an actuator, the actuator becomes large because it has to compress the spring and turn the valve. We don't have to do that with Easytork. We're simply turning the valve and we have stored energy to act as a spring when we need it and only when we need it. Second advantage to that is that springs are high tensile carbon steel. And so if you have a spring return actuator, every stroke is either compressing or decompressing that spring. This can lead to premature failure. We don't have that with Easytork. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the versatility of Easytork. Here I have an Easytork actuator in which I've removed the accessory drive and the valve drive, and I'd like you to notice that there are multiple bolt hole patterns on each side of this actuator. Quite a few bolt patterns. These patterns are drilled to universal standards for attaching to valves. So with that said, I also have here an Easytork valve box. And in this Easytork valve box, we have a number of different drive adapters. These drive adapters are very inexpensive, and Easytork groups them in a nice little box like this to match most of the common valve sizes. So with this one actuator, I have here on the table a quantity of 7 different valves. As you can see, there are 4 butterfly valves and 3 ball valves. I'd like to show you how easy it is to take one Easytork size 5 actuator and automate at least 7 different types of valves. So let's start with a butterfly valve first. I have here a 4-inch butterfly valve. As you can see, it has what's called a double D shaft. So I need a double D adapter out of my valve box. I have one here, I believe, which will fit this shaft. As you can see, it does. So I simply take this double D adapter You can see a keyway and a key. I'm going to leave the key out for purposes of speed, but this key is what drives the adapter. Key fits between these two mating halves, and there we have a double D shaft adapter. So I'll plug that into the Easytork actuator, drop my valve onto the actuator. There we go. And as you can see, the bolt holes match up nicely on this actuator. So there's a 4-inch butterfly valve mounted to an Easytork size 5. I have here a 3-inch butterfly valve, and get my shaft coupler out. And as you can see, this shaft coupler is a little bit large for this. So go back to my valve box, find another double D shaft adapter. I have one here. This one happens to fit the valve nicely. So again, I will take my shaft adapter, drop it into the actuator, line up my keys. At this point I would add the key, put the valve in the actuator drive, and as you can see, bolt holes line up nicely. So there's a 3-inch to an Easytork 5. The 2-inch has exactly the same shaft and bolt pattern as the 3-inch, so I won't go through that, but as you can see, we line up. Now I have here a high performance butterfly valve, a little different style valve than the 3 I just did, and I'd like to show you that the Easytork will also mount to that. It has a little different shaft configuration, so I'll need a different adapter. And I have one here I believe that will work. Yep, that one works. So I simply insert my drive adapter, line up the keyways, insert the butterfly valve, and as you can see, the bolt holes do line up nicely. So there's Easytork 5 to a 3-inch high performance butterfly valve. I have here a 2-inch ball valve, and you'll notice this valve has a little bit different shaft. It's a square shaft, and it's at a 45-degree angle to the valve body, and of course our bolt patterns are somewhat different than that of the butterfly valve. Yet I can still accommodate this with the Easytork. So in order to do that, I need to remove my double D drive adapter. I'm going to need a square adapter, which I have here to fit that valve shaft, and I'm going to need a different bolt pattern here. So in order to do that, I simply remove the drive adapter from that side, turn the actuator over, and reinstall the drive adapter. And I would normally install it like that, but I have a 45-degree shaft, so I'm going to turn this at 45 degrees, drop it in, and insert my valve adapter, line up the key. I would normally insert the key here, and drop this shaft into the valve. And because you can't see the bolt holes, I'm going to go ahead and put a bolt in this. Just get them started. And so there we have an Easytork 5 to a 2-inch ball valve. So let's take this off. Remove the ball valve. I have here an 1.5-inch ball valve, and fortunately it has the same shaft configuration and same bolt configuration. So to mount this, I would simply follow the same pattern as the other. Just drop it in, bolt it up, and go. Now Now for our last valve, I have a 1-inch ball valve. The 1-inch ball valve, as you can see, has a much smaller shaft, also to 45 degree, and it also has a different bolt pattern. I have here an adapter from my valve box, which fits the valve shaft nicely. So I will take this adapter, drop it in the actuator, put the valve shaft in there, and again, you can't see the bolt holes, so I'll go ahead and get this bolt in there. So there you have it, Easytork size 5 to a 1-inch ball valve. So in summary, we have Easytork actuator, one size 5, mounted to a minimum of 7 different valves, quite easily with a minimum of equipment required. So if you operate a plant and you wish to reduce your inventory and reduce variability for your maintenance people, you can do this with Easytork and a total of only 7 different actuators to operate half their 24-inch valves, double acting, air open, air closed, or single acting, fail open or fail closed. If you're a valve distributor or automation house, you can accomplish the same thing with only 7 actuators and reduce your inventory, lower your cost to provide equipment to your customer. This is Easytork Actuator. Thank you very much.